Welcome, everyone. I am Tirza Hollenhorst, the CEO of LUMAN. We're an agency focused on innovation. This whole month, we've been focused on what makes strategic planning successful in this volatile and uncertain time. You can check out our past Facebook Live videos and YouTube videos and LinkedIn articles on the topic. And I'm really excited to be joined today by my dear friend, Mary Gilbert. Mary is been many things. In addition to being a really dear friend of mine and someone I admire deeply for the purpose and compassion and dedication she brings to her work, she is also brings visionary strategy, digital prowess, and a talent for activating techniques to cultivate leaders and teams that thrive and innovate in complexity and change. Mary is the managing director of InfiniteEdge Consulting. InfiniteEdge is a consultancy of marketing and culture experts that is helping companies build trust and navigate in today's rapidly evolving market environment. Mary, it's a real delight and an honor to be on today with you.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It feels like a culmination of a long learning journey we've been on together. So I'm just really pleased. Thank you.
Mary, this has been such a changing time for really all of us, but I'd love for you to share with me what you feel marketers really need to be looking at to be successful in this post-COVID era.
You know, COVID has affected all of us. And you add to that Black Lives Matter, and then, you know, the huge climate change issues that we've all gone through, and the work from home issues. This has really struck marketers at their core for a number of reasons. First and foremost, consumers have changed dramatically, and we've really seen that in the shift in channels, the shift in their willingness to buy from brands that they really trust and hold brands accountable. And marketers were really in a position, are still in a position, of having to really kind of keep up with those changing needs. And yet at their very core, marketers are, you know, they're planners and they're sort of long-term thinkers, and they've got to be a lot more dynamic and be able to work on the fly. And because now as social creatures, we're not working together, you know, around the water cooler or in organizations, it's even more difficult for us to figure out really how to pivot to meet the changing needs of consumers and really support our brands to understand how to deliver an offering that can be trusted. So there's a lot of things going on for marketers right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on for all of us, but you know, especially for marketers, which, as we've talked about, are really that bridge between internal culture and external brand.
Mm-hmm.
They're really at this crux point and pivot point.
Exactly.
And we've really talked about trust and psychological safety as the behaviors that teams need to be cultivating now, regardless of where they sit in the organization, but especially now that we're remote. And how are you really working with your clients to understand what trustworthiness and trust means in marketing now?
Well, we're actually, we think about trust on a number of vectors. So we have a whole trust assessment that looks at trust across 5 different vectors, and they sit across your entire organization. And they're issues that customers think about all the time now. How are you responding to crises? How are your salespeople oriented? Are they just trying to sell something to me, or are they actually really oriented to support and help me? You know, so there's intrinsic, there's extrinsic, and these things can, as it turns out, be measured and looked at and used as a method for cultivating trust throughout every interaction, regardless of, you know, if sales owns it or if marketing owns it, or if somebody else, customer service or somebody else in the organization, owns it. And so, you know, we really see, and Tirza, you and I have talked about this a lot, but we really see marketing as the center, that sitting between the brand and the customer, that helps every other team in the organization create authentic products, create authentic interactions, and truly in every single moment, and now they're truly moments, and their unpredictable moments deliver for a customer an experience that continues to reinforce that the brand is trustworthy and they're making decisions that are more than just good for shareholders, but they're really, really good for everyone involved.
Yeah, something we've talked about a lot, Mary, is the internal culture really can't be separated from the external brand, such that if we want to have these brands that are conveying trustworthiness across all of these different vectors, we actually need to internally have those behaviors and be trustworthy and create that container of safety for our teams, so that we on the team are having an experience of trust amongst us that then radiates out into our messages and to our relationships across the organization.
Yeah, and given where marketing sits in the organization and the fact that they've a lot of times had very short-term focus on sales and growth, a lot of times their reaction is from a place of fear and from a place of trying not to get in trouble because they didn't meet their numbers, or trying to not meet their numbers, versus trying to really help build a brand and an organization that thrives regardless of the ebbs and flows of economic, of the economics of the situation. And what we've seen, and this has been proven, in many, many studies, that brands that really put purpose and a unit of stakeholders at the forefront of their, of their decisions tend to do 20-30% better in the marketplace overall over time. But they're willing to really create that psychological safety, create those conditions to do the right thing, and get that fear out of the way. And so this is where we're seeing companies that are really driven by fear, really driven by bottom line. Now that their people are kind of locked down and they're seeing layoffs, they're getting more and more fearful and less courageous to do the right thing. Whereas organizations that have really opened up and gone, hey, the obstacle is the way, we're going to find a way through this, and we're going to thrive, and we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to trust that our business is going to be here tomorrow because we've done the right thing. We're seeing marketers who are actually taking a stand, actually having a voice in the organization and saying, hey, this is what our markets are doing and what our markets are needing right now. Let's make better decisions about our products. Let's make better decisions about our service. And let's really operate from an ethical and heart-centered place, and not from a place of greed and just trying to make a buck.
Mary, I've always really appreciated the stand that you take, that marketers really can be the source of change in their organizations, and many marketers have experienced really being undervalued in the organization, and as a whole, that marketing is just seen as kind of almost this afterthought, or we have the product and then we kind of hand it off to marketing, and it's often the first place to get cut and the first place to be blamed. But you have really held through your career and developed whole teams that appreciate that marketers can really be the stand for change and the stand for really authentic relationships with the consumer, and building better products. Mm-hmm. And I really wonder, what do you really think marketers need to be successful now? And what qualities and what ways of being or tools would you offer other marketers as to what's available to them if they really take a stand for themselves now?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, I want to separate the idea of tools. A lot of times when we think about tools is, what are your digital tools and what's your marketing automation system, and this has been a real, been in digital transformation for the last 25 years. And we have all the technical tools we need. Most good companies have the right digital tools. What's really missing is the human tools. How do we come together around those insights? How do we connect the insights we're gathering from those tools and collectively make really, really good decisions? So now we think about skills that are the soft skills, the emotional intelligence, listening, what we call respondability. What is your protocol for how to respond in a crisis, or how to respond to a change in the market that really reflects your values and your purpose? And then how do you continuously learn as an organization? So, marketers are moving from being, the Don Drapers of the world and the big rock stars to seeing ourselves as part of a system I'm part of a system, a communication system, a collective of people that are trying to move a market forward. We're trying to change our economy. We're trying to make things work for everybody. And if you start to see yourself that way, and you start to connect with other people who see themselves that way, and then you're connecting together, things can really shift and things can really move, and we can all respond in ways, autonomously respond in ways that we collectively agree are the right way.
One thing I really hear you saying there is that maybe in the past, people have thought about marketing as that kind of the creation of these, pithy phrases and these, splashy hooks and stories or narratives or advertisements that catch people's attention. But now it's really more about this relationship and a listening and having that authentic relationship that's present to what's changing in the world around us. And so really needs to be ready to adapt to the conversation, which, as we have seen, can change, one day to the next.
Yeah. And, social media is a perfect example of that. Social media came on the scene and, a lot of people jumped into it and realized that organic social is not so easy, right? It's like you have to respond in the moment authentically. You've got to be right there and you've got to know what to say. And who do we give that to in the organization? Because who can we trust, right? So it's a very vulnerable place to be. So everybody jumped on paid social. But paid social is not authentic. Paid social is you're pushing messages out there. What we need to now shift to is the equivalent of that across every touch point with our customers. Treat every moment like it is an organically social moment, and that anybody in your organization should be prepared to respond in a way that isn't in line with the purpose and the ethics of your brand.
Yeah, and as we're coming into this time of developing marketing plans, it feels like there's this really unique opportunity to be using this time of planning to really think about who do we want to be in the next year? What do we want to value and really measure internally? And what behaviors do we need to develop while we're doing the planning process? We've been talking about this amongst, just you and I in the background as we developed some offerings we'll talk about later. But what are you seeing is really needed during this time where organizations are developing their marketing plans for next year?
Well, I think first and foremost, what's needed is to, walk away from the idea that there is ever going to be a plan, right? And instead really be able to create the conditions for, again, what we're calling respondability. What your consumers are doing today, what could potentially happen. We got a bunch of different scenarios now, right? We got fires and hurricanes and a pandemic to test our grit. And now we have a sense that, we don't actually know what's going to happen. So how do we create a model, or let's call it a marketing platform, if you will, for our brand that becomes more of a cultivation of a brand community, nurturing a brand community, and start really thinking differently about that. And then you can run some scenarios and you can have some flexibility built into that. But, that's hard to do right now because we're all virtual, we're all remote. So we've got to change the way we think about the plan, and we got to change our behaviors at the same time. And so, when you and I started talking, it was like, well, how can we do that at the same time? Because you've got to cultivate those behaviors. You've got to cultivate that mind shift. And everybody keeps putting that on the back burner because they're like, we don't have time to work on culture. We don't have time to work on behavior. But now is the time. But you're also planning. So why not think about doing those things at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really think of this planning time as a great opportunity to be cultivating some new behaviors on the team. How do we practice, facilitating and really asking other people what they think? It's such a great opportunity to practice active listening and empathy while we're planning. It's a great opportunity for us to really think differently about what metrics might really let us know we're heading in the right direction, and open up our thinking to how are we going to think about what it means to be in a continuous learning conversation.
Yeah.
And so have been really excited about the opportunity of planning sessions and this time of planning to actually think differently.
Yeah.
All the way down to how do we stay in a solution mindset and really think about each opportunity that looks like crisis as really just an opportunity to create new solutions.
Yeah.
Like if you're really on top of being empathetic and listening as the continual crises come in, it can also be a real opportunity to be a compassionate, authentic voice for the customer, but also for your team. Yeah. And it really does start with the team in my mind. And that's really something that I've seen you do so successfully, Mary. Over the past decade, I've been privileged to see you build global, remote marketing organizations that really just excel. And I'd love it if you could share with other leaders of marketing organizations some of what you've seen be successful in building these high-performing teams.
Well, first and foremost, that's really what I love to do. I love people. I love talent. I love to see them come alive. I love to see them create things together. What I learned early on, and it's probably because I was, have been in Silicon Valley for, 30 years. And what I learned was the technical people and the kind of pure creative people don't always understand each other, right? And so I did a lot of work around helping people understand IT and helping developers talk to normal people, just that kind of thing. And so really seeing the system of people that you have on your team and understanding how their connections are going to result in a greater outcome. And then really getting behind those people and forging those connections, helping every single one of those individuals understand the value they bring to the team and the value of the relationship with somebody else on the team. So I've done a lot of kind of bridge building in my career, relationship building, helping people with no empathy skills learn empathy skills, helping people with too much empathy learn boundaries, and really so to balance that talent mix and help people see the evidence of when we're working together and we're humming and we're valuing what somebody else is bringing, we're valuing what we're bringing, but we see ourselves as a whole as much stronger. You can see the needle move on the results for the business. So I am the kind of leader that I like to get behind people. I've kind of avoided the spotlight most of my career. Now I have so much to say. I kind of am really trying to get out there because of, everything I've learned. But I want my people to shine, and I want to be there going, oh, this is a beautiful, element of you, or this is a beautiful element of you. And these are how, when we combine them, magic happens. And so that's really what I enjoy doing. And I feel that, we see more and more and more about servant leadership and getting behind teams. And that's what I would say, number one, to, the CMOs and the VPs of marketing out there. It's not your show. It's your people's show. And your job is to really elevate them. And to learn the skills to do that is a very, very important part of leadership today.
So wonderful. I really love how you express all of that. And for our CMOs and our VPs of marketing who are entering this challenging time of trying to create a plan for 2021 with a remote team and a whole new set of factors, we have created an incredible experience for them. And would you like to really tell us more about this Ready for Anything marketing plan experience we've designed?
Yeah. So, we know everybody's trying to figure out how to do their planning this year, and, it's going to be different. You probably can't have an offsite. You're not flying people in. Everything has changed. So, I've been talking to CMOs who are just trying to even keep up with the insights around the changing market, and their channels have changed. Sales has changed because all of a sudden they're sitting in their chairs now and they're looking at marketing going, oh, you implemented that tool like 6 Sense or Bombora, how does that work? And how does it, make me smarter as I'm sitting at home? And so, there's new trust that's coming from different parts of the organization. And at the same time, we're looking at how do we build our remote capabilities? How do we energize these teams that are stuck in their homes and taking care of their kids? And how do we do that at the same time? So we've come up with this Ready for Anything virtual planning process that plugs right into where you're at today, helps you, understand how to bring your team together, train them on new relational skills that are required, while at the same time bringing marketing expertise to the table to help your team build their plan. So working with Tirza, you and your team, and bringing that cultural expertise, which we're so eager to get into our core clients, and working with the expertise that I have on my team around, the best marketing strategies today. We're really keeping our finger on the pulse of what's happening, and bringing that together as a service to empower the organization to build a new plan, build a new approach to planning, and build a new approach to who and how they are as a marketing organization as a whole. So this is the perfect time to do it. Everybody's thinking about, what do we do next? How do we move forward? And those are exactly the kind of situations where we really, really love to dig in and help drive change.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this product. At LUMAN, we're really focused on building the skills while we get work done. And this is such an incredible opportunity to get the important work done of building the marketing plan for 2021 while we build the skill sets of empathy and creativity online, and how we actually can facilitate conversations with our teams through these online channels. Yeah. What does it mean to be accountable in this new era? How do we even appreciate how we reach out for support and help and clear when things didn't happen for whatever reasons of the challenges we might be facing? Building all of those skills while we're doing these plans just make it team so much better prepared for 2021 and all of what it's going to bring, because we know it's also going to be a year of transformation, a year of change.
Can I just reinforce what you just said? And I think this is really important, because a lot of marketers aren't familiar with this, but training while getting work done is the key here. It's like you don't have time to do the culture training on your own and you got work to do. So let's do those things together. And that's a really important concept. And, it's been a foundation of the work that you guys have always done. And I firmly believe in that. So, thank you for bringing that to the marketplace.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing it back to that, because we really feel that if you're just going to go off and try and do the skills training, especially right now, you're going to have a hard time holding people's interest. They have so many things going on, and trying to do the marketing plans online remotely without bringing in some new skills is also going to be challenging. So it's just such a wonderful opportunity to build in these micro learnings and then immediately practice skills. Yeah, and do them together. We think it's such a great way to energize the planning with learning, and keep the learning practical. Yeah. So
and it becomes a way more efficient way to do it too. I've been through your processes many times, and the speed, the accuracy, and the creativity that is infused into plans is unparalleled. So that's why I think these are really special, valuable, life-changing services and experiences.
Thanks, Mary. I really appreciate that. It's amazing to see what happens when people are really given the permission, the purpose, and the skills to do their best work. It just always blows my mind what people can create when you just add a little bit more capacity to what the brilliance that's already there. If you want to learn more about this Ready for Anything remote marketing plan, you can go to InfiniteEdge Consulting, and we'll go ahead and drop that link in the notes so that you can see that. And there's some really great content about all of what this process entails. Thanks so much, Mary. It's really been a pleasure talking to you today. Yeah. All right, everyone. We will see you next week. Thanks for joining us, and make it a great week. Bye.